Okay. Hello. So this video is going to review the research question. Okay, so you're going to be doing pretty much the same thing that you did for me for assignment two. Okay, so I'm just going to go over these points again. All right. So the research questions aid your reader on how you delimit or set the parameters of your object of study. For example, my book's central question was how is knowledge historically constituted and how knowledge is historically situated. So it's basically asking how members of a local community develop an understanding of their community as they live their lives in that particular location. Okay. Um, so then what you're going to do is what I mentioned here and what you've done for me for assignment two is that you're going to provide an introductory sentence directing your reader's attention to your questions. Then you're going to list your three questions, delimiting your object of study. And then you're going to write a paragraph, not necessarily under each question, but under the listed three questions that you provide, explaining how your questions frame your topic. Okay. And then the new element that I introduced for this particular section is how you classify your questions either as conceptual or applied. Okay. And as I mentioned in class, conceptual questions in research are types of questions that approach the issue by answering a so what, but these kinds of questions do not tell readers what to do, but to inform a reader to understand an issue. Right. So this is what I've mentioned a couple of times in class that this type of work or conceptual work is just there to inform your reader, or the other type of adjectives that you could use is like called conscious raising or awareness raising. Okay. But the main point for conceptual research and questions is that you don't offer any solutions or have your reader go out and do something. But when you compare that to applied questions in research, it's that what you're actually doing, as I mentioned in class, is that you're wanting to encourage your reader to go do something, right? Either to join an organization, sign a petition, donate money, and so on. Okay. And these types of questions try to address the so what by providing an approach to ameliorate an issue. And ameliorate, as I mentioned in class, is just a fancy way of saying a way of trying to fix that particular topic. Okay. Now, so let me go to my written example so you can see how I wrote this out. Okay, so here's the research question, part four. And then this is my introductory sentence. The three core questions that will aid in framing how globalization facilitates human trafficking. And then my first question that I wrote is how does global connectivity facilitate human trafficking? My second question is how does community disruption allow criminal organizations to select victims of human trafficking? And my third one is how do human traffickers identify a victim of human trafficking? Okay, but if you notice that the level of what the questions are looking at, the first one is asking, the basically the topic of the paper, which is how globalization is able to facilitate human trafficking. And the question two and three support each other in terms of when a community experiences deep disruption of their daily activities, and how human trafficking organizations and individuals are able to select a victim from that type of community. Okay. So then those are my three questions, and this is the paragraph explaining how my questions frame my topic. The questions presented are meant to aid in framing how globalization facilitates human trafficking. In its simplest example, using a single word to characterize globalization is interconnectivity. Understanding connectivity, actually, need to get rid of this so it can be consistent. Remember, one of the things that I've mentioned in your papers as well as in class is that I look for consistency. And this would be an example of trying to remain consistent within the context of your paper. Okay. So then I wrote, understanding connectivity is understand how human traffickers can can take advantage of inexpensive travel. Any airport in the world is a hub for human trafficking. Human trafficking happens out in plain sight because trafficking happens in front of people without them noticing a person being trafficked. Human traffickers have access to millions of vulnerable victims. Having access to a large pool of potential victims, human traffickers seek vulnerable individuals to ensnare them into being human trafficked. An example would be a person spending much time alone and lacking resources to avoid being human trafficked. And so, like, that's a way of how the questions frame the object of study. And then this is the second paragraph explaining how I classify the questions in this type of work. So this research will be classified as conceptual. The reason why this study is labeled as conceptual is because the intent of this work is to raise awareness over the issue of human trafficking. Another reason why this is an important topic to be aware of is because of how human traffickers use commercial flights to move people whom they traffic worldwide. Because of the ease of traveling by commercial flights, major airports around the world become crucial hubs for traffickers to transport their victims. Okay, and this is pretty much how you're going to write out this particular section. So I'm going to stop it here, and then the next video is going to review the literature review section of the essay.